On the steps of Virginia's Capitol, protesters delivered a blunt message to their governor. Virginia does not belong to big tech. And in 1 week, that fight goes national, with demonstrations planned in 22 states. From neighbors suing the world's most powerful AI data center over relentless noise, to a judge forcing Google's secret water numbers into the open, the battle over America's data center boom is escalating on every front. We begin in Richmond, where dozens of residents from Hanover, Henrico, and communities across central Virginia gathered at the historic bell tower on Capitol Square with one message: Virginia does not belong to big tech. The grassroots coalition is demanding that Governor Abigail Spanberger and state lawmakers pause new data center approvals until stronger statewide protections are in place. Their frustration has numbers behind it. Data centers already consume 26% of all electricity used in the Commonwealth, along with more than 2 billion gallons of water every year. Speakers called for an end to non-disclosure agreements, an end to backroom rezoning deals, corporate tax accountability, and legally binding community benefit agreements. One resident summed up the mood from the podium: "We are bearing the burden, not them." Organizers say the rally is only the beginning of a sustained pressure campaign on the General Assembly. That kind of frustration is now making its way into courtrooms in Sturtevant, Wisconsin. 3 residents have filed a class action lawsuit against Microsoft over its $7.3 billion Fairwater campus. The facility's CEO Satya Nadella has called the world's most powerful AI data center. The suit covers every household within 1.5 miles of the site, more than 1,000 homes stretching into neighboring Mount Pleasant. Plaintiffs describe noise that is not only excessive but consistent and pervasive, blaming diesel generators, chillers, cooling towers, air handlers, and condenser fans running around the clock. They allege Microsoft failed to build adequate acoustic barriers to keep the sound on its own property. And it isn't just noise. Neighbors complain of construction dust so thick one resident called the area a dust bowl, along with extreme nighttime light pollution washing over what used to be quiet farmland. And the backlash is about to go national. A conservative advocacy group called Humans First is organizing a nationwide day of protest against AI data centers on July 18, with more than 50 demonstrations planned across 22 states. Texas, now the country's leader in data center development, will see 11 protests, with 7 more in Florida. The group is led by Amy Kramer, a former Tea Party organizer and longtime Trump ally, and it's targeting rising utility bills, water demand, noise, land use changes, and what it calls national security risks tied to rapid AI expansion. Their argument leans on striking numbers. More than 4,000 data centers have already been built in the United States. Yet a recent Gallup poll found 70% of Americans don't want one in their own community. Organizers say the goal is to force local, state, and federal officials to finally respond. Water sits at the center of that anger. And in Virginia, Google fought hard to keep its numbers hidden, after journalist Henri Gendreau of the Roanoke Rambler sued the Western Virginia Water Authority. A Roanoke judge became the first in the state to rule that a data center's water use cannot be shielded as proprietary information. The released records were startling. Google's Botetourt County campus was initially projected to use 1 to 2 million gallons of water per day. Documents later showed that figure climbing to 8 million. And the latest disclosures cited by rally organizers point to 11 to 12 million gallons per day. Meanwhile, Google is planning 3 more campuses across more than 1,500 acres in Chesterfield County. A $9 billion bet. And this week, Residents finally get their first chance to question company representatives face-to-face at open house meetings. Behind every one of these fights sits the same driving force: power. In West Texas, Chevron has signed a 20-year agreement to supply electricity for a massive Microsoft data center campus near Pecos. The venture, known as Project Kilby, pairs Microsoft's planned campus with a co-located natural gas plant developed by Chevron's Energy Forge One, an investment firm Engine Number 1. At full build-out, it will deliver roughly 2.67 gigawatts of capacity. Enough electricity for about 2 million homes, using large GE Vernova turbines, with additional generation from Caterpillar's solar turbines. First power is targeted for 2028, and Chevron expects a final investment decision by the end of this year. Notably, the plant will run on non-potable, brackish groundwater rather than drinking water. A direct nod to the water concerns now swirling around projects exactly like this one. State and local governments are responding to all of this pressure, and Montana just joined the movement. Missoula County Commissioners voted unanimously to adopt a 1-year moratorium on new or expanding data centers, the first such pause in Montana history. 30 members of the public spoke at the hearing, every single one in favor, and the final vote was met with loud applause from the audience. The interim zoning rule covers the entire county outside the city of Missoula, with commissioners citing potential impacts on public health, safety, and natural resources. The county must now launch a study within 30 days to confirm an emergency exists and chart the path forward, and the pause can be extended a second year with another hearing. Missoula is far from alone. According to the U.S. Data Center Moratorium Tracker, 55 counties nationwide have now enacted moratoriums on new data center proposals. Yet despite the moratoriums and the lawsuits, construction keeps pressing forward. In LaPorte, Indiana, Microsoft has broken ground on Phase 1 of a data center campus that keeps getting bigger. The initial build covers 500 acres on Boyd Boulevard with an investment topping $1 billion, and Microsoft aims to have 3 buildings operating by 2029, with 3 more to follow on the same site. Then comes the real expansion. 11 additional data center structures planned across 1,300 acres of adjacent farmland. The company is purchasing, pushing the combined footprint toward 1,800 acres and a construction timeline of up to 10 years. Microsoft is also partnering with Ivy Tech Community College to open Indiana's first Microsoft Data Center Academy, training local workers for the operations jobs the campus promises to bring to Northwest Indiana. And the money behind this build-out shows no sign of slowing. Switch, the data center operator majority owned by Digital Bridge, is raising roughly $2 billion in a private funding round led by Andreessen Horowitz, which is committing $400 million of its own. The deal could value Switch at nearly $50 billion including debt. And the company has hired J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs to run the raise ahead of a potential public offering as early as next year. Switch operates major campuses in Nevada, Michigan, Texas, and Georgia, serving customers like NVIDIA, Google, and Tesla. It's a reminder of the sheer scale of capital chasing this industry. Hyperscaler spending on AI infrastructure is projected to hit $750 billion this year alone, even as communities from Virginia to Montana push back harder than ever. The numbers keep getting bigger, and so does the fight. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. It helps us cover more of these stories.